Oh baby, here we go. Welcome back to the Boston-Raleigh channel. We're at the last section of Napoleon's Italian campaign here on his path to power. I want to see it happen. I want to see Napoleon finally sack Mantua, defeat Wormser, who's not been doing so well. Napoleon's got a scattershot here of troops. They've recently had victories. They've had victories at Arcole. They've had victories elsewhere. They've had victories in Mantua overall. Things have not gone poorly there. Mantua's been held in siege for like a year or something, like a while. Wormser went and reinforced Mantua at one point, but he's been stuck in the city, and Wormser is down to only about 35% of his original force, even ready and active for fighting. Napoleon, on the other hand, has been fending off Austrian general after Austrian general. We've got the really big dude coming from all the way out east, attacking Napoleon. Napoleon has fought him. Napoleon held him off. Napoleon managed to make it happen at Arcole. He kicked them out. He held the northern descending army back. He's got his people. He's outnumbered only by 1,000 men at this point against the incoming army. They're not sure where they're coming from, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here.
General Alvinci has received 14,000 reinforcements and orders to relieve Mantua as soon as possible.
Oh, I mean that's the whole deal here. If Mantua got reinforced again, Napoleon would have to just call it. I mean, Mantua's been holding out for so long. I think Mantua might have some political issues at this point. I mean, they've got civilians living in Mantua. What the hell are they doing? They're eating. By the way, they are eating at this point, as we learned last week. They're eating the freaking soldiers are eating horses. The Mantuan citizens are eating rats to survive at this point. It is not going well. Feldzeugmeister has one job only, and if he can't do it, it's all over.
He is eager to march, but heavy snow and the late arrival of equipment and supplies delays his advance until the 7th of January. The first columns on the move are Provera and Berlich, but their offensive is merely a diversion intended to draw Napoleon's attention away from the main threat, which will be coming down the Adige Valley. Alvinci has divided this force into 6 columns. Their mission is to envelop and destroy Joubert's division at Rivoli and clear the path to Mantua.
This has been an ongoing thing of they've been trying to do that several times here, and they have not succeeded technically to do that at all. Napoleon has stuck himself there, and he's held on to it. He's really held on, and yeah, that's that army is not even past the mountain range at this point.
But Rivoli is a strong defensive position. They must hit it hard and fast before the French can respond.
Yep.
Napoleon, assuming any Austrian advance is still weeks away, has...
Actually, let me give a little bit of commentary here. Rivoli is at the very bottom here. What's funny is that's where it all opens up. There are a bunch of different paths of retreat. There's a bunch of different paths of bringing things to it. No longer is it a narrow path. And that is a very interesting tactical little city there. But let's go.
Traveled to the Papal States with a column of troops commanded by Colonel Lannes.
For those of you who don't know, the Papal States are one of those little Italian little... Italy was not really its own assembled country in the way that we know it today until the mid-1800s. The Papal States were the ones controlled by the Pope. And when the Pope was a monarch, not just of the city, but of an actual small country in Italy. So, there you go.
They intend to put a little pressure on the Pope, who continues to stir opposition to France.
I mean, I do not like the French Revolution. I think the French Revolution sucks. I happen to really like Napoleon. As a personal note, not only just because I am a Catholic, but I am very much in agreement with Pope Pius VI of Rome, that the French kind of suck, but somewhat also at the same time I have a hard time not rooting for Napoleon. Napoleon's just the best.
However, as soon as he receives reports of enemy movement, Napoleon races back to his headquarters at Rovabella.
Oh, of course he will.
By now, Alvinci's forces have also begun to advance, but serious planning failures quickly emerge. Lusignan's first column, on the right flank of the advance, has orders to cross the slopes of Monte Baldo and attack Joubert from the rear.
Look at how dangerous that is. They're not even on a real path, they're on the mountain itself.
It's soon clear that these orders are wildly optimistic.
Yeah.
Dreamed up by staff officers who'd not seen the terrain.
Yeah.
The peak of Monte Baldo is more than 7,000 feet high. Its slopes are covered in deep snow and ice.
This is not pre-watched, by the way. There's a lot of these where I'm calling things right before they talk about them, but I'm just like, wow, is this starkly, like, crazy?
The paths are treacherous, even more so after dark, and there is no firewood for making camp. Only by taking a wide detour can Lusignan make any progress at all, whilst losing 200 men to exhaustion and exposure.
Yeah. And guess what happens when you're losing those men? They're not just minor casualties, you know, the ones that you get back later. They die up in those hills. They're gonna die.
Meanwhile, the second and third Austrian columns reach the French outpost at Ferrara. An initial attack is repulsed, and following their orders, they wait for Lusignan's column to appear before launching a second attack.
I'm not even sure what the point of that is. Like, why not just have them arrive with you but then hook around? Why have them... Like, what... I mean, I guess I understand in some sense, but geez... Like, where they are in Ferrara is already pretty bad. Like, the terrain there sucks, but, like, you see the topography there. Having a pass where the mountains peak, where those hills peak, that sucks.
However,
that absolutely sucks.
Lusignan's column is not yet in sight.
No.
Alvinci's plan relies on swift, bold action. But just 48 hours in, it's falling apart.
I cannot think it was prudent to to adopt a plan which, at this season, a fall of snow might render totally impractical. You know? The Italian Alps have ruined a lot of people. These men are not Hannibal. I don't think they're gonna do as well as they think they are. I don't think at this point they even think they are. I think that the troops there are like, what the hell are we doing here? How do you do that? How do you just go and do that and then you're not winning? Like, I don't know. Why do you send them on the hill? Why not just storm down? Like, I get the idea that it's maybe a little reckless, but time is of the essence. If you make a really big push and you actually break the French a little bit on that push, that's going to be a lot more valuable than this weird tactical maneuvering, or quote-unquote tactical maneuvering here, that's going to end up doing absolutely nothing. But the worst part is, even if it does something, it's slow.
At Rovabella, Napoleon ponders the incoming reports. He knows that Joubert's forward outpost is under attack at Ferrara, that Massena has repulsed an Austrian attack on Verona, and Augereau faces a sizable Austrian force near Legnago, poised to cross the Adige. Is Alvinci using the same tactics as before, making his attack from the east? Then, a second report arrives from Joubert. His scouts have detected an enemy column marching around his flank. He has no doubt that he faces a major Austrian attack, and has begun withdrawing his forces to Rivoli. The report I have given you is exact, he tells his chief. Be assured, the enemy will make every effort to throw me onto the blockade of Mantua.
That's a stark message. It's a very big deal if you're just gonna take all the way back to Rivoli.
The enemy's plan has been unmasked, Napoleon announces,
Yes! It all finally comes together!
and issues a flurry of orders. Massena is to march immediately to reinforce Joubert. Augereau is to send him cavalry and guns, while the rest of his division keeps watch on Provera. Ray is to move up to Castelnuovo. Servourier is to be on high alert for an attempted breakout by the Mantua garrison. While
So all of these things are kind of interesting because they're showing you that Napoleon had a dragnet of different setups here. He had time to kind of lay out the army all the way he wanted across the region. And once he's figured out that the entire force is coming from up north, they're just trying to push through. See, this is why I didn't even know that. I was wondering, why are you doing this weird maneuver up north? You're trying to just floodgate. You're trying to just slam troops as hard as you can. Like, it doesn't matter if it's slow up north because that's where the main forces are. They're not having to reconverge. So that's an interesting thing. I think what you have right now is the people out west. They're going to need to be, or out east, I guess. They're going to need to be dealt with. But the big thing is really going to be, can they make a stop of the insane, the colon of just garbage piles of refuse, of tragic corpses and all these things that's going to come from up north. It's all or nothing right up there. That's what's going on. Rivoli is going to be the big fight.
Joubert,
Maybe.
the youngest and least experienced of Napoleon's divisional commanders, is instructed to hold Rivoli at any cost.
Of course you are.
And assured that help is on the way.
When Napoleon says so, assure it that it is assured. He's already almost on his way there. He's already almost there. My friends, Bonaparte demands a last effort from you to annihilate the remains of the Austrian army who have dared to come again and measure themselves against the Republicans. General Massena to his division. Dude, annihilate the remains of the Austrian army. Let's go. Take them all down. It's funny because the left here in Europe are called the Republicans. I find that funny, but that etymologically makes perfect sense to me, at least.
After giving the Austrians a bloody nose at Ferrara, Joubert has extricated his troops overnight and taken up a defensive position around Rivoli. Napoleon arrives around midnight and immediately sets out with Joubert to inspect the enemy's positions. The weather had cleared and the moonlight was superb. I climbed the different heights and observed the lines of enemy fires. They filled the country between the Adige and Lake Garda, and the atmosphere was ablaze with them. One could easily distinguish 5 camps, each composed of a column.
I'm so excited right now. It's actually really hard to describe in words without just going nuts.
Until reinforcements arrive, Napoleon has just Joubert's division, 10,000 men,
Yes.
to hold off 24,000 Austrians. But Alvinci will help to even the odds by ordering Lusignan's first column to attempt a wide outflanking march to cut off the French line of retreat. And Napoleon decides the main road to Rivoli, which passes through a steep defile known as the Pontari, can be held by a single regiment supported by entrenched cannon. This leaves more manageable odds of 9,000 against 12,000 in the centre. But Napoleon wants to push out his defensive line to hold the slopes that mark the edge of the Rivoli plateau. At 4 a.m., General Vial's light infantry brigade advances through the darkness.
I mean, this is a crazy plan right now, right? Because they're gonna hold that slope area. They've got people trying to cut off the retreat. They've got massive armies trying to bust through the side. It's just like so much could go wrong here, but it's like, I don't know. To me, I feel like this is where history is made. This is where history is made very apparent. And I am exuberantly confident now that Napoleon's going to win this. Even if there's a setback or two here or there. I think he's going to win this one.
They drive back the Austrian outposts and take the San Marco chapel.
Hell yeah, dude.
They're followed on their left by the rest of Joubert's division. But the French push too far. Skirmishes break out along the line with heavy fighting on the heights of San Marco.
That seems like a little bit of a blunder, but it can be made up for as long as they're keeping a relatively cohesive line around that area they're trying to defend.
Napoleon had not wanted to start the battle so early, but the combat escalates. At dawn, the Austrians attack the plateau in force.
Oh man.
The French 85th Demi Brigade is outflanked and routed by Liptay's second column.
No!
The 29th Light, on its right, is forced to retreat, and it looks like the French line is crumbling. But the 14th, on their right, fights tenaciously.
See, this is the good thing about that weird slope chain, is that you can, as long as the piece of the line is all the way off to the side, you can hold other pieces of that line, and it still kind of makes sense. They still have some sort of like, you know, crescent circle of troops here in that line. It's just, it's so tough at that point because things have to work in tandem.
It's an intense infantry battle across broken ground, vineyards and walled gardens, with sudden charges, hurried withdrawals, and counter-charges. When the Austrians overrun a French battery, an officer demands, "14th, will you let them take your guns?" His troops mount a ferocious charge that routs the Austrians and reclaims the battery.
Things like that are very, very, very important. It cannot be understated.
By 9 a.m., Massena's troops have begun to arrive.
Push them back.
They take up position on Joubert's left. The buckled French line is stabilized.
There you go, see? Fixed almost immediately, really. Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Completely fixed.
But so far, the French have only faced half of Alvinci's 6 columns. One by one, the others now join the action. Vukasovic's 6th column is on the far side of the Adige River. But its guns cause havoc among French troops holding the Pontari. Under this covering fire, Royce's 5th column charges up the narrow road.
So I will say that this is actually a really, really, really good, by the Meister over there, really good strategy here. There's that choke point, you just need to bombard it, take out the French there, and then you can shove your way through. And that should be a way to pop the cap on it and kind of encircle. That encirclement would be disastrous for Napoleon, by the way.
And in fierce fighting, storms the French entrenchments. This advance threatens the entire French right wing with encirclement, and a retreat begins.
Oh.
Moments later, gunfire to the southwest reveals Lusignan's 1st column has reached Affy, poised to cut off their escape. The French situation is desperate. They are outnumbered, surrounded, and under heavy attack. Napoleon's staff look anxiously to their commander, wondering what miracle can save the army now.
All looks turned towards General Bonaparte, but after a short inspection, he limited himself to saying calmly, "They are ours." That is amazing. That is amazing. I love it. I love it so much.
Sensing victory, General Alvinci and his staff ride forward to urge his infantry on. Napoleon remains calm. He knows Alvinci's center columns are near exhaustion, and that they have no cavalry and little artillery support. He identifies Royce's column as the most immediate threat, and orders Joubert to send every man and gun he can spare for a counterattack. General Leclerc and a 21-year-old Captain Lassalle then charge with the entire French cavalry, just a few hundred horsemen. Under this onslaught, the lead Austrian troops are driven back into the gorge.
They've stopped the bleeding!
Here, they collide with the rest of the column coming up. Cavalry and infantry jammed together, some pushing forward, others trying to escape. Joubert's men pour fire down on them from the overlooking ridge. The final straw is the devastating explosion of an ammunition wagon.
Yeah, those things can happen. Oh, and it's in the back! Oh, that's awful! That's so awful. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been in the center with the general and everything, but man.
Austrian morale breaks.
Oh, no.
The survivors flood back down the road to safety. Napoleon now turns his full attention to the center, where the exhausted Austrian columns have become spread out and disordered. The sudden appearance of French cavalry, supported by infantry and guns, sparks panic and a mass rout. Alvinci, who must have thought himself on the cusp of victory moments before, must join in an undignified race to the rear, spreading further alarm among his men.
Yep.
By 1 p.m., the bulk of the Austrian army is in headlong retreat, leaving Lusignan's first column in an awkward position.
Very awkward.
Completely isolated, he begins a fighting withdrawal. But the arrival of General Ray's brigade in his rear triggers a rout. Fewer than half of his 4,000 men escape.
Nice.
Through tenacity, courage, and good fortune, the army of Italy has turned a grim situation into an astonishing triumph.
All right, let's go, casualties! Let's go!
French casualties are modest.
That's it? That's barely worse. That's not even as bad as the previous big fight. Killed and wounded, 2,200. Prisoners, 1,000. Not a big deal. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it sucks, but sure. But, you know, not a very big deal.
Austrian losses are devastating.
And man, 8,000 men captured by the French. 4,000 killed and wounded. There's so many more. There are so many more killed and wounded than the entire French casualty line here. The Austrians are screwed from this point. Because, again, they had technically more men. They had more than double the losses, really. Because the prisoners are men lost to negotiation, I suppose. Gonna have to figure that out when they sue for peace. Killed and wounded, double, basically. And their whole thing was trying to push downward to go and resupply the city, you know? And they're not doing that.
Over the next few days, 5,000 more Austrians are captured.
5,000 more.
Mountain passes.
Oh my god! Alright, what does that make? Alright, 3,300, 17,000! That's insane. It's beautiful.
Napoleon will not be there to see it. He's received news that Provera has crossed the Adige and is marching on Mantua. It is a chance for him to strike one more blow against the enemy.
Yeah!
And to seal the fate of Mantua.
Vous étiez vraiment le gars de la victoire. I think. I don't know if I actually did that. I think I completely butchered that. You are truly the spoiled child of victory. Napoleon to General Massena, 16th of January, 1797. To be fair, Massena has made a lot of those victories happen through some of his own work here. But yes, he is by far one of the most accredited generals in Napoleon's whole repertoire. Like, Massena's just beautiful, awesome. Look at this. It's glorious. So many of this was Massena. Joubert did a great job too. You know, he's new to this, but he took that mantle and he held it with Napoleon side by side. They kept the city up there. They kept that choke point and they forced everybody back.
Leaving Joubert in command at Rivoli, with orders to renew the attack at dawn, Napoleon races south with Massena's division.
Yeah.
Provera has no clue of the disaster that's engulfed Alvinci's army, nor that the wolves now gather for him. He pushes on to Mantua, shadowed by Augereau, who snaps up his rearguard, 2,000 men taken prisoner. With just 7,000 left, Provera's only hope is to break through the French siege lines.
Yep.
First, he tries to attack...
And this is him thinking, we've made it to Mantua. We just need to bust through their lines. We can go all the way. We can liberate the Austrians in the city. He's thinking all sorts of nice things right now, and he has no clue.
San Giorgio. Formidable French defenses and a powerful cannonade stop him cold. The next day, he launches a coordinated attack with Wurmser against French forces at La Favorita. But Napoleon has now arrived with Massena's division from the north.
And Wurmser, poor Wurmser, he's taken so many big blows at this point, and this is going to be among them.
Wurmser's weak, starving men are forced back into the citadel.
Oh yeah.
While a determined charge by the 57th Demi Brigade smashes into Provera's flank. With Augereau approaching from the east, Provera faces impossible odds and surrenders with his entire force.
Oh my god. That's not even Mantua yet. That's not even Mantua. That's just that particular fight. The Austrians are gone. Just gone here.
Wurmser's last hope of rescue has been crushed.
Yep.
He
Goodbye.
puts off the inevitable for 2 agonizing weeks.
What? Are you kidding?
Till, with all food exhausted, he finally accepts terms for Mantua's surrender on the 2nd of February.
Well, at that point, the terms are going to be bad. At least you could have made better terms. All Napoleon has to say is, no, you can sit in the city and starve, eat each other. We'll come get you later. That's terrible.
He and an escort will return to Austria. His 16,000 remaining troops become prisoners.
All gone. And then you can sue for peace later and have to get them all back.
Austrian losses in the campaign reach a staggering 44,000 men.
Ah, so many!
After 8 months, the siege of Mantua is over. A victory that will soon be celebrated on the streets of Paris. But it is General Serrurier, not Napoleon, who takes the formal Austrian surrender.
I mean, that's okay. He was the one stationed there. If he's not going to take all the credit, then it's okay.
His commander-in-chief has already departed to take on his next opponent.
Oh.
The Pope.
Papa Pius? No! We will have everything that is beautiful in Italy, with the exception of a small number of objects in Turin and Naples. Napoleon to the Directory, 19th of February, 1797. What is he going to do to the Pope?
From Rome, Pope Pius VI has once more been agitating against the French. And so Napoleon marches south with 9,000 men to explain the new realities of power in Italy.
Right.
At Faenza, General Victor's division sweeps aside papal forces, and Ancona is taken without a fight. The subsequent Treaty of Tolentino forces the Pope to give up Romagna, as well as 30 million francs and 100 works of art. Belatedly, Napoleon's victories persuade the Directory to back him in force.
I mean, there's just a lot of things that will happen because of that victory in Mantua.
French armies stuck on the Rhine are ordered to send him reinforcements.
Yeah.
Their 34-year-old commander, another rising star of the French army, is congratulated on his brilliant winter crossing of the Alps. His name is General Jean Bernadotte. On the 10th of March, with 70,000 confident, seasoned troops under his command, Napoleon goes on the offensive. He sends Joubert to invade the Tyrol, Massena to advance up the Piave Valley, while he leads the bulk of the army on the most direct road to Vienna.
Yep.
The enemy is scattered and demoralized. Even the appointment of a new commander, the Emperor's own brother, Archduke Charles, fails to restore morale.
And they sent the big guy there and it didn't do anything.
Charles is regarded as a military prodigy. He's 2 years younger than Napoleon and has defeated the armies of both General Jourdan and Moreau in Germany. But he does not have enough troops or time.
Of course not.
He fights a delaying action at the Tagliamento River. But it ends in disaster when Bernadotte surrounds and captures 2,000 Austrians, 10 guns, and 8 standards. The French pursuit continues, with Massena covering Napoleon's northern flank.
I mean, they're pursuing them all the way into Austria at this point. They're pretty much not even. Italy is an afterthought. Now they're going for Vienna.
He arrives at Tarvis in time to block the Austrians' retreat. In 3 days' fighting, the French take another 3,000 prisoners.
This is just an orgy of victories at this point.
Napoleon's troops outmarch and outfight the Austrians at every turn.
It's so good.
But his situation is more precarious than it seems. The other French armies are only just crossing the Rhine, while his own supply lines are now overextended and vulnerable.
That is true, and it's worth saying that if Napoleon is so far in front of the rest of the parts of the army, they are actually in Austria proper now. They can easily be pounded from some angle or direction. I mean, a northern force could cut them off, and it could really do a lot of damage.
Rather than withdraw, Napoleon continues to advance, while proposing to Archduke Charles that they open peace negotiations.
I would.
The Austrians accept.
Yeah.
2 days later, both sides agree an armistice, and peace talks begin at Leoben. After 5 years of conflict, Napoleon's dazzling advance into Austria has brought the War of the First Coalition to an end. So ends Napoleon's first campaign, almost exactly a year after it began, 380 miles away on the shores of the Mediterranean.
And Napoleon, by the way, is the star of this campaign, by the way. He, like, really, tripping over myself just trying to put words together. Napoleon is now the person who is most responsible for that armistice, for that, the end of the First Coalition. And he's doing a great job there. Your countrymen will say as they point you out, he belonged to the army of Italy. Napoleon proclamation to the army. Dude, the Army of Italy. Those are the stars. Soruglie, Marengo. No, Marengo. Freaking Marengo. That's not the wrong one. Massena. I've done a poor job. Poor Massena. I can't believe I've done this to him. Joubert, everyone. They're all Augereau. They're all gonna be superstars now.
Negotiations at Leoben become the basis for the Treaty of Campo Formio, signed 5 months later. The Austrian Netherlands, roughly modern Belgium, formally passed to France.
Yep.
The Venetian Republic, invaded and systematically looted by Napoleon's troops, is divided between France and Austria.
Makes sense.
So ends the 1200-year history of the Serene Republic of Venice. The famous horses of St. Mark are among its many treasures dispatched to the Louvre in Paris, to join its rapidly expanding Italian collection. The French part of Venice joins its other Italian client states to form a new Cisalpine Republic.
I don't think that's going to last very long, but sure.
The author of its constitution, Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yes, sir.
It's an illustration of how far the 27-year-old general has come in just a year.
Bros, I'll yell out there, I'm 28. Look at this man.
Having waged one of the most brilliant military campaigns in history, many would say his best, he now dictates terms to kings and popes, summons new states into being, and nurtures his status as the most celebrated military commander in Europe. He has achieved all this thanks to formidable intelligence, relentless hard work, and inspiring leadership, which he has used to forge a unique bond of trust with his men. He's had luck, too, along the way, and been ably served by a group of brilliant officers, many of whom will be with him for years to come.
Let's go with them. Massena, Béthier, Murat, Marmont, Augereau, Lane, LaSalle, and Victor. But I'm covering him up with my barbecue self. But yeah, Victor, LaSalle, and Lannes. Whatever, sure. Yeah, they're there too. Massena and Augereau, goated.
For Napoleon still has many extraordinary things to achieve. His Italian campaign is just the first chapter in one of the most astonishing lives in history.
Napoleon Bonaparte! Alright, that'll be it for today. I don't even know what to say anymore. Napoleon the GOAT. Possibly the best military commander of all time. Possibly. A lot of historians debate that, right? You got a lot of big names. Alexander the Great, Hannibal Barca, Napoleon Bonaparte. He's up there with them. He's up there. Napoleon is insanely good. This was masterful. This was, it was decisive. Very decisive. I'm going nuts watching this. I'm absolutely going nuts. I think it's fair to say that this was a very enjoyable campaign experience. We're not done with the Path to Power, by the way. We are diverting into other stuff that goes on. There is a proper full playlist that I'm not using currently that I will be using now. I'm going to have to change into other things just to cover the timeline perfectly well. We're going to cover Napoleon's entire Path to Power and his entire campaign, all the stuff on Epic History. Thank you guys so much for watching. Epic History has been a very fantastic series to cover. Not Epic History, but just the French stuff. We already did the Italian. We already did the war in Italy. the Italian campaign for Napoleon. Now we're moving on. We're going to be moving on to Egypt at some point. We're going to be moving on to some other things down the road. It's going to be insane. It's going to be amazing. I am here for every single minute of it. Hopefully you will be here with me. Definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I am loving this so much. What I would love even more is if we got to 250 by the end of the year. That would be insane. But it seems like we're actually making an advancement towards that. I will be covering so many things. So many more things. We're going to be doing a lot. Epic History's whole freaking archive is going to be gone through by this man here. Mondays. Fridays, we've got a little bit of a mixed bag still. Wednesdays will be opened up as a new line here. We're gonna be advancing. What do we do when we're winning? We charge. That is what you do. You charge. I mean, that's not always exactly the thing you do. Strategically, you know, it depends. Sometimes you quit while you're ahead. We're not doing that though. Let's see where this takes us. I'm willing to keep going through the entire campaign. More than willing. I am honored to at this point. It is just fantastic watching this and commentating. Even though I'm not like a historian type of person, I do dabble. I like a little bit of this history stuff, and I've been able to enjoy quite a bit of it with you guys these last 8 months here. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your week. Definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you all again next time. Oh, bye bye.